Hi Virgo, it's Rebecca and Perchik from Being Human Tarot. I actually completely filmed your video, got up to, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Got up to grab the camera and discovered I had not turned it on. So I'm going to do your reading over again. This is Perchik. I can't remember if I just said that. In previous videos, he has not been in good of a mood enough to join me, but we'll see how long he lasts today. So this month I'm reading with the Illis Tarot by Christy Prokopiak. Probably said her last name wrong, so I'm sorry to her wherever she is out there in the interwebs. But I will link to the deck in the description if you're interested in it, so that you can see more information and how her last name is in its entirety. This month I'm sticking with the same 3 cards. I did want to say about this deck. It's a really cool deck where all of the majors are represented by like 90s pop culture icons. However, so that's a lot of fun. I'm a child of the 90s, so if you also grew up in the 90s-ish, you could probably really enjoy this deck too. The only thing is the minors are represented super literally. So if there's like the 3 of Pentacles, the card is just 3 pentacles without any other illustration. And so it becomes a little bit harder to read intuitively that way. I mean, it becomes super hard to read intuitively that way. So if I'm going to revert back to using Smith Rider-Waite descriptions when I'm going through reading a little bit, just as a heads up. And I'm sticking with the same 3-card reading that I've done in the past, where the first card indicates what to focus on this month, the second card indicates what to put aside for the month, and the third card indicates an additional consideration for the month. So, to get into your reading, for your first card, you drew the 2 of Wands. So you can see what I mean about the minors being extremely literal, because there is 2 wands, nothing else in the card. Although they're good looking wands, they kind of look like maybe they're from a birch tree or something. But so this month for you is going to be a lot of planning for your future. And I mean, it's going to be thinking about what your current situation is, what's working for you about that, what's not working for you about that. What are some ways that you could perhaps be happier than you are now? And it's really about pushing yourself outside of your normal, like, Virgoan, like, grounded comfort zone, because I mean, a lot of times in life we feel like, oh, well, I've gone down this path and I've been doing that and doing like the right steps to get higher in this path and to, like, you know, do whatever, meet this certain goal, reach this certain level. And it feels like if suddenly, he's got jokes, if suddenly that path no longer feels like it's right anymore, we can feel like we have to just go for it anyway, because it's like we put in all of this work for it. And it's very normal, especially for us, also Virgo, so also Earth sign, I totally get it. But we have to push ourselves to step outside of that kind of mentality and really think about what it is we want to be doing in life, because we're not around here forever. And you know, regardless of what might be practical or like make more sense in some sort of strictly logical way, what ultimately makes more sense is doing what we want to be doing, so we should do that. However, so all of that is to say that this is a planning card only. You're not taking any action this month, so don't feel stressed to like figure it all out. You're doing a lot of daydreaming. You might even be doing a little bit of travel, which is actionable, but it's travel not because you're going to go somewhere and live there. It's travel so that you can see what other places are like. Am I happy in the place where I live now? What, who are the people like here? So it's really just sort of all of this like thought process, planning, groundwork for what it is that you'll eventually like is going to be your next big thing. As you're set aside, you drew the Knight of Cups. I'm represented here beautifully by Winona Ryder. Check her out. Do you like her? So you can see, right. So actually I misspoke earlier. It's not just the majors. It's also the court cards. So there is more than it's, yeah. Anyway, so Knights are all about action. Cups are the emotional suit. And so as you're set aside, so eventually in this planning, or like rather after this planning, you would move on to then doing some more actionable things. The Knights are about action. The Knight of Cups is a slower moving knight, so that would still be like a very slow and steady kind of like movement. And it's emotionally driven, which is what you need some emotion in this. It's not a cup, but it's not a pentacle. It's not a sword. It's fire, right? There's passion here. And so when it eventually does come time, you probably will be moving forward in a way that's similar to the Knight of Cups, meaning it's coming from a place of intuition and feeling that whatever this next step is right. However, like I said, because you're purely in the planning stage this month, this is why Winona here is that you're set aside, because it's not time yet. It's not time yet, even for, that's gonna mess up the audio. So even though this will probably be the eventual next step, the cards are saying like, don't get like, even if you figure it out this month, or think you figure it out, just don't move too quickly yet. Don't take those next steps. Keep thinking, keep researching, keep making sure. Which probably shouldn't be too hard for Virgos, I think. In your final card of additional consideration, you drew the Five of Cups, which in the Smith Rider-Waite is depicted by a person who's sort of like got like a cloak on, and they're sort of sadly turning toward these three spilled cups, while sort of ignoring behind him the fact that there are two remaining cups. And so it's a card about loss, but also about loss that isn't extreme loss, and that is also a reminder that even with this loss, the loss doesn't define you. There are still two cups standing. It's not a complete wipeout of destruction. It's not the tower, right? So in relation to what's going on with you this month, if during your Two of Wands kind of like planning and daydreaming and processing, you realize that means walking away from something that has been, it's cups, so it's something that has been maybe very emotionally comforting to you, maybe just financially, maybe, like that kind of stability standpoint. If you realize that your next step is giving up something like that, it's totally normal to mourn that, to feel bad about that, to feel scared about that. But that said, while you're going through the mourning of that loss, which you totally should do, because it's healthy to mourn things that are sad, but just make sure that you don't sort of frame it in your mind as this thing that like that's who you were. Like, you can't give it up because this is your existence. That's how you define yourself. I don't think that it's, I mean, my own personal opinion, but I don't think that it's healthy to define ourselves entirely by any one thing. Humans are really complex. So, and you've got those other two cups, you know, even if you're giving up the three, you've got these other two. You've got a lot going on. So just don't be too hard on yourself. And all of kind of the thought processes that comes with that, and the really a lot of it is fear. So don't be afraid. I mean, like, you've got big stuff going on with this eventually. So it's really a time, it's ticklish. It's really a time to be excited. So that's your reading, Virgo. I really hope it recorded this time. If you liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. I upload this suite of videos for all the signs before the 1st of every month so that you get a little bit of time with them. If you subscribe and hit the bell icon next to subscribe, you'll be automatically notified as soon as I upload the videos so that you won't have to kind of check in to see if I've done that or not. And that's it. I'm going to pause this video and pan down so that you can see your 3 cards together. And yeah, I'll see you next month. Bye, Virgo. So as you can see, you've got your focus of the 2 of Wands, set aside of the Knight of Cups, and additional consideration of the 5 of Cups. Thanks for tuning in.